Now, what's really cool when we're getting in towards the end of August is we can start talking about actually hunting strategy. And I think every video today has been about hunting strategy. It's not that I don't like deer habitat and food plots, but let's face it, even on the YouTube channel, we get about 80% of our views, 75% of our views in the months of September, October, November, December. So 85% of the views for the year in 25% of the season, or 1/3 of the year at the most. So it's pretty cool. I like hunting strategy. This channel is built, and what I do for a living was built on hunting strategy. So basically looking at habitat, deer habitat, and how you should create those habitat improvements while still keeping in mind how to hunt the property, how to attract deer to the property, how not to spook them. So when it comes to this time of year, I'm really starting to look at all the trail camera photos we have and when are bucks actually moving so they can be in front of your tree stand. And that's ultimately what people want, is that big buck in front of their tree stand. I think some could care less how it got there. They don't care if that's only deer on the property. As long as it's that big one they want, it's gonna walk by. We're looking at creating a really nice hunting property with a great balanced deer herd, one of the best that we can do in this area. And then we wanna have a great hunt, because you can't have one without the other. And part of that is how you hunt, when you decide to go hunt. And you can build this great deer herd, and you can build a great potential hunt, but if you hunt at the wrong times, you can spoil it, ruin your property, ruin your investment, your stand locations, all the time you put into it. So I really hunt by the weather. And when it comes to the early season, you know, a lot of people think, well, hunting by the weather, you know, rut time, late season muzzleloader time, maybe October lull time. But really, when it comes to hunting by the weather, I like hunting the entire year. So it's hard for me to make actual plans during the hunting season, because the one exception, my daughter Autumn's getting married October 12th. That's one of the big exceptions. You know, I will be there at my daughter's wedding and the days preceding that, because that's, you know, there's no way around that. I can't wait to celebrate with her on that special day, her and Joe, so it'd be pretty cool. But other than that, I don't miss days. And so we'll look at mid-October for a doctor appointment, and we'll say, yeah, maybe we can make it. But if it's a weather front day and a cold front day, I'm not gonna make it. And it's just the way it is. I gotta be out in the woods. I'm not missing those days. And the reason I don't miss them is because we have a busy lifestyle. We're always doing lots of things. We have lots of things to do with work, home, kids, family, fun. And there's a lot of other things to fit into the hunting season except for hunting. You know, we just don't hunt for 13 weeks straight, go from property to property to property like some people in the industry, where that's more the hunting gig. We're actually trying to manage our best sits with the rest of life. And so I want to hunt when the weather's good, and that boils down to the weather. And so the same weather conditions that I'm going to choose to hunt by in the early season, possibly opening day of bow season, all the way through the season, are the same set of conditions that I actually see right now in the woods. So when we're seeing a big pile of mature bucks that come into the property for the first time, we haven't seen them, we expect those, and we see them all across the property on certain nights where it gets cold. So when we have temperatures right now in the 80s to 90, and all of a sudden we have highs of 68, 67, 70, 71, 72. All that wind, all that weather that it took to get that weather to drop, to actually keep deer back in the woods and not feeding out in the fields, not moving much, actually on the flip side and on the back side of that gets those deer on their feet. And so when it comes into the early season, I want to be very, very careful, again, not destroying our property, actually getting the most of my time out of when I choose to sit. I'm not going to hit opening day and then hunt afternoon, 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 even if I could or want to. I can hunt basically when I want, but that might be 35 times a year for 4 months in 2 states, and maybe a third state with public land hunting thrown in, maybe 40 sits, 50 sits. That's for 4 months of hunting. So I want to make sure I hit the best days and I don't miss them. And I stake my reputation as a hunter on that. That's how I shoot my bucks every year. Cold fronts last year, late October for Minnesota and Wisconsin on my target bucks. So that's what I like to hunt. And so I'm looking for conditions. Doesn't matter if it's for summer scouting during this time of year, or actually when it gets into the season, I'm looking for major temperature drops that follow major periods of calm. And so I want to see for 4 or 5 days, at least 4 days, 3 days, and even longer is better, where it's basically the deer are lulled into a false sense of pattern that's just never going to change. It's always 78, 77, 81, 79, 76. It's just basically the same every single day. All of a sudden, bam, big weather front comes through, the temperatures go from that daytime high of whatever it is, it's all relative. Don't think of it as it's got to be an actual temperature that spurns deer movement and gets bucks on their feet. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong when they're trying to analyze the weather. Is they'll say, well, we've seen deer move at 60 degrees, 50 degrees, 40 degrees, 30, 20. We can't tell anything. That's because you got to look before that weather change, that temperature is giving you. Well, what happened in the preceding days? So I want to look at everything's calm and boring for 5 days, 4 days or more. And then you have that major temperature drop. When you have a major temperature drop, you're looking for major weather swings. Could be high winds, rain, thunderstorms, lightning, sleet, snow, blizzard conditions. Again, it's all relatives. It doesn't matter if the temperature is dropping from 85 to 70. You're in Florida, let's say it's dropping from 98 to 81. It's dropping from 81 to 66. It doesn't really matter. It's that change that matters. So really the same value from 80 to 70 as there is from 70 to 60 as there is from 40 to 30. It really doesn't matter. Sorry for interrupting, we'll be right back, but it's getting close to fall planting season. We have some of our favorite blends, some newer blends, Big Boost 365. We have our Power Greens 365. Those have the perennial base. We're actually planting some of that here. Big Boost, Fall Power Greens, those are some of our favorites, our all-time sellers. We're actually taking this strip of clover right here. We're gonna make that a perennial back up there. We're gonna terminate this buckwheat. We'll plant into it in the coming weeks, and then we're gonna hunt right behind me. Mock scrape right there. We're all set up. I hope you are too. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. Now back to the video. It's all about that even-keeled weather before the major change. And when you have major change, you have those major weather conditions, usually major wind. It keeps deer in their beds, not moving around, missing quality feedings. And it doesn't matter if it's the early season or the late season. That's what I'm looking for to go out to hunt. I want to hunt on the back side of that. Sometime preceding a major weather front, there's a little bit of spurn of movement, but again, that can be an 8-degree temperature change from the evening before. All of a sudden, deer out there. But it's pretty cool how deer have this uncanny ability to make sure they don't get caught out in a blizzard. So you can have the same barometric pressure, and the deer are feeding out here, and it's just light snow coming down, and they're just deer everywhere out in the fields. But then you have those same conditions of blizzards coming, the barometric pressure is the same, and the deer are nowhere to be seen because they're back in their beds. So you can't always go by what's going to happen. The deer are going to be out. It's on the back side, and there's a lot of reason for that. Again, they've been suppressed from feeding for up to 36 hours, sometimes 48 in a big front. So you're waiting for that to happen. Now, as it relates to opening day, opening day, you want to get out there. So if it's a warm day and I'm just itching to get out to a stand, then I'm going to go hunt in a stand where I don't think it's that great, or one that I can get in and out for sure without spooking any deer, 100%. And I'll take that chance at a stand there, knowing that there's better days to come just within a few days. Usually there's a front every week that comes through, like clockwork. And so I'm watching for those to take place. And even if I have to go out and sit, even if I want to go out and sit, and I'm gonna look at it like, well, I really don't care if I spook anything, I'm just gonna go. Well, then I'm still looking at it that I'm saving my best stands for those cold weather conditions. I'm saving those best sits. I'm never sitting in a stand all day until it gets into the rut, and it's the peak rut. Even in the pre-rut, I'm focusing on morning stands in the morning and then afternoon food source stands in the afternoon. But I'm really looking at those best sits for the best weather. I'm either not sitting, or I'm sitting in a poor location where I know I'm not going to spook deer in those lower quality sits. And notice I didn't mention anything about the moon. That's because the moon has nothing to do with deer movement other than maybe some later morning feeding when there's a full moon rising in the evening. That's about it. But if you have a 90-degree day in central Indiana on October 10th with 35-mile-an-hour winds, it's going to be a really bad day to hunt no matter what the moon phase is. Weather always trumps moon. Moon's just such a tiny little area. I don't even pay attention to it. Really, I don't. Sometimes I pay attention to it because I can go into this stand without using a flashlight because there's a full moon or something like that. But other than that, I'm really paying attention to the weather. And that not only guides me to success during the rut when most people think of it, it does every year, but it also guides my success from opening day and beyond, and being able to prioritize my time when I'm actually in the woods, away from work, away from family, and when I actually expect to shoot something when I go in the woods. So keep that in mind. weather can guide you to success, not only in the early season, but all beyond. And at the same time, all these variables I wrote about in October in Outdoor Life. In 2015, I wrote a weather algorithm. Well, then HuntCast and HuntWise, they contacted me several years ago to infuse that algorithm into their HuntCast. And that's what I did. So HuntCast is a really good way to guide you to success. You don't even have to look at the weather yourself and figure out these variables. Just look at HuntCast, and that's my algorithm and my thoughts going into that forecast for your area. And so we blended it all together. So really take a look at that, take a look at the weather, use HuntCast as a really important tool to guide you to success each fall. And you can use the weather like I have for decades in the past, hopefully decades to come, to guide my success every hunting season. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you watching the videos. We have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. It's all free. And I also appreciate those of you that check out our books. I have 5 books starting from 2012. We have web classes on the site, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. I really appreciate you guys that have already purchased our seed. We've had thousands of people. We've shipped to 48 states. We have digital land management through whitetailstrategy.com. That's taking all these ideas and concepts I put in the YouTube videos and digitally transforming your land for you. And then finally, we have our clients and client visits. We'll visit over 300 clients as a group this year. We visit anywhere in the country. Boots on the ground is always the best, but we have a lot of ways to help you, from free to client visits and all in between. Check us out again, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, Pure Wildlife Blends, and whitetailstrategy.com.